Welcome to HR Voices, real talk with people leaders who are in it every day. We get into the messy stuff, the challenges that keep them up at night, and how they're actually fixing them. No corporate fluff, just smart conversations for people who care about people. HR Voices is brought to you by All Voices, the platform that cuts hours of manual HR work with step-by-step workflows and AI to assist with investigations, performance improvement, accommodations, leave requests, and more, so you can get back to the human side of HR. Welcome to HR Voices. I'm your host, Emily Finnick, and today I get to chat with John Petrov. He is the Chief Human Resources Officer at UAB Medicine. Welcome, John.
Thank you, Emily. I'm so delighted to be here with you today.
Yes, thanks for making it. So, John, UAB Medicine is an academic medical center and health system. It's affiliated with University of Alabama,
Yes,
and it is one of the nation's leading hospitals and medical schools.
yes.
For those of us who maybe haven't heard of UAB or don't live in the South, I would love for you to tell us a little bit more about it, about how it's set up, the people that work there, and your role as CHRO.
Excellent. So we actually have two CHROs, one on the traditional campus side. So I have a colleague of mine, wonderful colleague, Janet May. So she leads human resources, for like all the different schools, the School of Arts and Nursing and School of Medicine, so on and so forth. I have responsibility for the health system, which comprises our flagship academic medical center, UAB University Hospital. It's over 1,300 beds, over 20,000 employees. I mean, it's a big operation. And in addition to that, we have 14 other hospitals throughout the state of Alabama. And recently, actually this past November, we celebrated our 1-year anniversary of acquiring a local health system from Ascension called St. Vincent's. So it's now UAB St. Vincent's, and there's 5 more hospitals that we've added to the portfolio locally. In total, University of Alabama at Birmingham, the medical health system and all that employs over 37,000 employees. So I lead and have responsibility to retain and attract the very best talent to provide the best possible care to our patients and communities at we are oftentimes the primary or only place for care, especially critical care within the state of Alabama. So the communities and the people that we serve really come to depend on us, oftentimes in life or death situations. So the work that we do is extremely meaningful, lots of purpose, and I'm very proud to be part of the team and the organization.
What a great overview. Thank you. I actually got to interview someone with a similar role, Chief People Officer at Stony Brook, and she sort of summarized it very similarly about just what an honor it is to provide, such meaningful work to your local community. But that also comes with challenges,
That's
right?
right.
I think healthcare is it's a high stakes. I can't think of a more high stakes environment to work in, right? Because as you mentioned, it can literally be life or death when you're working in healthcare, right?
Yeah.
And
I got
so,
a trivia question for you, Emily, real quick.
oh, okay, great.
What industry in the United States is the most regulated? What do you
Oh,
think?
healthcare?
Close. Healthcare is number 2. So we're only second to the nuclear industry.
I was going to say
So,
aviation,
yep,
nuclear.
aviation is third.
Okay.
Yep. So the nuclear power plants in our country are the most regulated, followed by healthcare. Just to give you perspective, I mean, healthcare, aviation, nuclear, the work that we do, it's extremely important. But yes, there are ample risks and challenges associated with our work. I mean, we don't want any patient harm whatsoever. People come to us, they entrust us to care for them, to protect them, to keep them safe and provide the best possible care. But with that is a myriad of responsibilities. I mean, a lot of our professionals have a great degree of responsibility. Their scope of practice is very complex, so on and so forth.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk a little bit with you. I mean, one thing that I love talking to people leaders within healthcare because, people are people regardless of where they work. But I think what happens in a healthcare context is, as you're talking about, like it's regulated, the stakes are high, it's 24/7. A lot of that human emotion really gets put under a pressure cooker, right? And when
Does.
you're dealing with that much responsibility. And so when you think about sort of traditional, when you think of HR and you think of people strategies, right? Like I think that there's so many lessons we can learn from people who work in healthcare because of the context in which they're working, it's I don't know, it's like more like condensed or I'm struggling to
Absolutely.
yeah,
It can
talk
be
to
a
me about
pressure
that.
cooker at times.
Yeah, a pressure cooker is the only word I could think of to describe it, right? Because, not all of us work in an environment like that. So what is it can you just put into context some of the challenges as a people leader that you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis?
First and foremost, I think it's extremely important that our frontline leaders, so supervisors, managers, and directors, have a very important and a solid relationship with our frontline caregivers, and vice versa. Our teams need to feel supported. They need to feel heard. As leaders, we need to ensure that we provide them with the tools and resources that they need to be successful, as well as eliminate their roadblocks and barriers or the things that stand in way. For example, if they have a piece of equipment that is not working at its full potential or has an issue, that can impede on that caregiver providing timely care to a patient, right? And there's a downstream effect. If I'm providing care to a patient and I'm late to in a clinic setting to an appointment, well, it's a domino effect. It's not just that patient, it potentially is every patient to follow unless I'm able to catch up what I'm doing. So we have to have a very collaborative and supportive environment in order to provide the care that we provide. And the again, the complexity and the diversity of care, you think about diagnostics, whether it's radiology and lab or surgery, right? And interventional or life-saving. If you think about just the operations of a hospital or health system, we have to serve food to our patients, food to our workforce. We have to provide clean facilities. Oftentimes people think, oh, that's a housekeeper. No, that housekeeper or environmental service worker is much more than just being a housekeeper. They're actually the first line of defense for infection prevention, right?
Yeah.
So, having a clean, a sterile environment is critical to mitigating the risk of a patient acquiring a hospital infection, right? Or hospital acquired infection based on their stay with us or their care during a surgery. So, you're absolutely right. It's very complex. So, we have to be supportive, we have to collaborate, and we have to listen to our workforce. Our workforce oftentimes are the best equipped to provide us with recommendations for solutions or for improvements because they live and they do the work each and every day. So, like as a senior leader within the organization, I have to depend on people at all levels to keep me informed so that I can keep our executive team informed and we can continue to make the right decisions in support thereof.
Yeah. I wanna unpack 2 of the things you just said, right, about how important that collaboration is, particularly with the management. What interferes usually with that collaboration? Like, what challenges do you see pop up that make that create difficulty in maintaining a collaborative environment?
Yeah, sometimes it could be a personality difference amongst coworkers or between an employee and supervisor or vice versa. So HR helps to navigate that through our employee relations team. Sometimes we have to mitigate or mediate a relationship between two employees or an employee and their supervisor. Other challenges can be attributed to volume, right? Just the sheer mass of patients that come to us for care. For example, not just UAB, but across our country, a lot of our emergency rooms, especially in an urban setting, we have more patients to care for than we have beds to admit them to, at least in the ED. And then there's a period of time if they're admitted into the hospital that they have to wait. And in some of those settings, you might not have a room and you might be in an open environment, waiting, to be admitted to a room. And myriad of cases that can sometimes happen. Well, that does not lend itself to the best possible patient experience, right? And if you're dealing with a patient that not only has an injury or an illness, but they're dissatisfied with the environment that they're in, that can spill over to the caregiver, and it could make the care that that individual is providing not just clinically but emotionally, right, behaviorally challenging, because that patient could be upset or and rightfully so. Navigating People and personalities, we are still a people intense business and operation. We care for those that need us. And then like my responsibility, my team's responsibility in HR, we don't provide direct patient care, but we certainly care for those that do. So we have to make sure that we're nurturing and supporting our employees. Other challenges aside from volumes and whatnot, regulatory. Because we are a highly regulated industry, we have specific standards that we should and we're required to meet to maintain quality and safety and patient satisfaction. And those regulations oftentimes require more work, right? For the employee has to, perform additional tasks. We can't cut corners in healthcare, right? It's not, you can't do that. You have to have a systematic way of delivering care to ensure that it's of the highest quality, it's safe, so on and so forth.
Mhm. Yeah, that's a lot. So how I mean, not to unpack all of them, but when you think of, how do you nurture people? You mentioned you're not the frontline worker, but you're caring for people that care for people. And especially when it comes to those environments, like what sort of training or systems or,
It's a training.
values, like, I mean, lots of training, but what, like, is there a through line there in terms of how you prepare people or how you take care of people after dealing with something like that?
So, folks, when we hire somebody new, they go through a very thorough onboarding and training process. Oftentimes, a new nurse, it could be their first 6 months of employment. And then throughout the year and each year thereafter, we continue to train and ensure that our teams are up to speed on any type of changes in the care model, if it's a policy procedural change, things of that nature. Clinician, you could be a rad tech, a phlebotomist, a nurse, right? A physician. We evaluate their competencies at least annually, sometimes more frequently than that, to make sure that they're meeting the respective standards for their profession. Most of our folks are in the clinical setting are licensed or they're a registered professional or they have a certification of some sort. And that comes with a body of knowledge and a body of expectations from a training development perspective. Two other resources, we provide employee assistance. So if an employee has a personal issue that they're dealing with, a divorce, death of a loved one, right? Things of that nature, grievance services, etc. We have a benefit through our employee assistance program that can help them navigate that or behavioral health challenge for themselves or their family. We also have wellness benefits that are part of our employee value proposition and the total rewards that we offer that help to ensure that I, as an employee, have access to routine healthcare checkups. If I go through those motions, I earn points. Those points then can be redeemed for financial incentives and things of that nature, which twofold help us as an employer save money to contain our benefit costs. Because if you seek out preventative care, you can mitigate something bad happening down the road, right? So, and if you catch something early on, there's a higher likelihood that that issue can be addressed proactively versus, if it is in a later stage, it could be a reactive type of treatment and whatnot, and there could be extra complications and challenges associated with that. And actually, there's one more final point. We just launched this year an online reward and recognition. We call it Applause. We use a third party company outside, and that allows us to recognize our employees when they're exceeding expectations, providing exceptional patient care, or aligning with the organization's mission or values. And we can recognize them peer to peer. A leader can recognize them with points that can be redeemed for gift cards, for a whole host of things that we leverage an Amazon platform. So you get to go shop on Amazon and you could get an Apple phone, or a iWatch or whatever it may be, movie tickets. But we're very excited that we launched that and we're seeing high levels of utilization of the Applause platform. We're also now going to be launching recognition for service year milestones each year, anniversaries, birthdays for those folks that want to opt in, etc. And it's like an internal social networking platform where we can recognize and celebrate one another for various successes and milestones. So those are just some high level examples.
Yeah, I don't know why I always imagine those programs being like a corporate thing, but they could work really well in a hospital
Yeah,
context. I know I bought my this is silly, but I bought my kitchen table with a points like an executive. I
love
had
it.
completed a big project and I just had really been wanting a new kitchen table. I got it with the points, and now every time I swear, like, at least once a week, I think about that, right? And I don't like those extras that you're not expecting, especially when they help you, you know, do something special for yourself, right? I think that can go a long way with employees and feeling seen. So I love that. And valued. Yes, we all just want to be valued for the work
That's
we're
right.
doing. The second thing I wanted to dig in that you said that I really liked was about feedback loops, right? Like the best ideas are coming from the people doing the work. And so
Yes.
I'd love to hear a little bit more about how you're structuring those feedback. Like, what does a good feedback system look like?
So, one is our annual employee engagement survey. That's a great opportunity where we get to touch everybody. And this past year, we had actually 83% participation, which is far above the industry average, which is around 63%. So, I'm very proud. And that was an improvement over last year at 70%. So, more of our people are participating in the survey and communicating to us what they like, what's working well. So, if it's not broke, we don't need to fix it, and they're also letting us know where we have room for improvement. And we actually task our leaders, frontline leaders, all the way up to the CEO of our system and executive leadership to develop action plans to prioritize the top 2 or 3 areas needing to be improved and celebrating the 1 or 2 successes, something that's going really well. And we work on that throughout the year, and we communicate the results and the changes that we have made throughout the year through our quarterly town halls. We also do various other activities where we go out into our facilities, into our clinics to meet with our employees, to socialize with them. We call them leadership forums, and our leaders, hospital leaders, executive leaders go out and we meet with staff and we talk to them and we gain their feedback, what's working well, what needs to be improved. And then we come back and collaborate to identify any opportunities. We also, and it's very important to be transparent, if there's something that's asked of us and we can't do it, we need to explain the why. I'll tell you personally, I'm not a no guy. I don't like no. I don't like to be told no. So I've learned to adapt, and that no means not now, eventually, yes. Perhaps it's not the right time, it's not the right person or audience, and we need to reapproach this and really work hard together as a group to get to a yes. And sometimes that yes might not be exactly what was initially asked of us, but maybe it's a compromise and it's something in between. So those are some of the leadership ways in which we collect information and we garner that feedback, and also the direct relationship between an employee and their supervisor. It's important for them to be in continuous and constant communication with one another, individually and then collectively as a team, right? Having regular huddles in the department, having team meetings, things of that nature where you can engage with your staff, and physicians can engage, and faculty and whatnot, to better understand, again, what's going well, what do we continue, what do we need to change, adjust or modify, and what do we need, what might be new and improved, and what does that look like? And we have processes in place. If it's we need equipment or capital, maybe we need a new robot for the OR. We go through a process by which that is requested through the procurement process and reviewed by finance, reviewed by executive administration, because some of these things, they can cost thousands and millions of dollars, right? So we have to go through a budget process to ensure that we can afford it and we can invest in it. And, a lot of times we do. And that's the wonderful thing about being part of a big academic health system.
Yeah. Speaking of, tools and technologies, my last question to you is just going to be, with AI coming in to sort of help us automate manual work, it's been sort of a part of all of these conversations. So I'll just ask outright, like, how have you experimented, leveraged? Is there anything that got you excited or something that you tried that went well that you could share with our audience?
So Emily, that's a great question and very timely because this past week we launched a product called Phenom, and Phenom is an interactive tool, social online tool that helps us with applicant sourcing and on the front end with the recruiters, the talent acquisition team, being able to proactively communicate with candidates and also just people who aren't necessarily looking for a job with us, but we want to introduce them to UAB Medicine, and we want to help to educate them on the exciting opportunities. So if and when they choose to pursue a new job, they choose us. And there is AI that's built into the process, i.e., initial contact with us. So instead of having manual data entry and whatnot, we have various automations built into the system and platform to help to elevate and escalate in a more timely fashion the connectivity that we have with candidates and kind of sharing information with them on the front end, helping, with providing information about us, about the benefits that we have to offer, things of that nature goes through the automated process. And just like you and I and our audience has the opportunity, they may not realize it, but if you call the bank, or let's say you have a appliance repair person coming to the house to fix the refrigerator, and if you call the company, oftentimes now you're not speaking to human, you're speaking with artificial intelligence that is helping to navigate your phone call. And what is it, if you need to confirm your appointment, guess what, you don't need a human to do that anymore. You've got the system that will navigate that. The same thing with this Phenom technology. We don't need a human to schedule the interview. The system will schedule it between the candidate and the recruiter. So that's saving us time. It's getting us to connect with talent in a more timely and efficient way. And our folks have choices, right? In healthcare, there's lots of different, if you're a nurse, you could pick up and go somewhere else tomorrow, right? You have choice. So our ability to speed up the conversation and the connection with talent to make sure that there's a match, it's critical because we're in a highly competitive space. So artificial intelligence, which is built into this Phenom technology, is enabling us to do that. I envision we're going to do a lot more. Now, the big question that people ask is, oh my gosh, is this going to replace your human beings and the people that provide work? My thoughts are it's going to free them up to do things that are more critical for the organization versus transactional, to be more strategic, right? To be that point of contact, to have that social interaction with talent at the appropriate stages of the process versus taking up my time to schedule an interview, send emails back and forth. When are you available? That's not really productive time at the end of the day. It's very important, it's essential to the process, but if I can automate that, heck yeah. And then let me spend as much quality time interviewing the candidate, orienting them and selling them on our mission, our vision, our values, our culture, our team, our leaders, our people. That's what makes a difference.
Yes, I can't wait to talk to my kids when they're looking for a job and me being like, back when I was interviewing, people used to send you an email and say, here's 14 times. Do any of these work? And then you write back, no.
Now it's
No, and
all
that, I mean, I also laugh because people talk about replacing work, and it's like, well, nothing makes me feel more human than wasting an afternoon in a spreadsheet. Like, no, I mean, it's mostly the work that, robs you of your time and your soul and your motivation. When we can, the more of that we can automate, the better. So I love that. I really enjoyed speaking with you today, John. I wanted to ask if there's any sort of, not everyone who's listening works in the healthcare space, but from your experience, from the work you do, any sort of parting words of advice you have for people leaders?
two things. One is we can never do enough for our people. Therefore, we must do all that we can. Knowing that we have budget challenges and regulatory changes and the world is constantly evolving and changing. I get that. But at the end of the day, we have to find a way. And the second piece of advice or recommendation I have is me personally, my purpose in life and philosophy is to make a positive difference in the lives of others. Make what you do meaningful and make it count.
I love that. That's
Thank
a
you.
great way to wrap things up, John. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And we're just so glad you chatted with us today.
Thank you, Emily. Much appreciated.
Take care.